Nigel, as with last year, some early business done.
Yeah.
Rob Dickey, Ross McCrory. Tell us about them and how important is it to get players in early?
Well, it was always our intention to try to do some business as soon as we could. I suppose, as much as anything, because it gives us the opportunity to really shape the squad in a way that we want to. And I think it gives people confidence. I think it gives the players who are already in the building a bit of a shot in the arm to see that we are trying to strengthen the squad. I think for our fan base, it will give them encouragement, hopefully, that we are trying to add the right types of players to our squad. So, they're both good ages, and they're both players who have done it extremely well so far in their careers, but have the scope to improve and push on themselves. So I think for us, it's about trying to get the balance right between promoting young homegrown players, but also making sure that we have players within the squad with know-how as well, who can enable the side to make a further progression, because we really want to be pushing right into the top half over the next season. Be a tough league, because teams coming down from the Premier League are strong. The teams that have come up from League One are strong, and so it's going to be very competitive. But we know ourselves that over the second half of the season in particular, we've really made quite an important progression ourselves. So I think that's something for us to be positive about. But we also, we always want to invest our money in a way which we get value for money.
Strength in depth in that defensive area is something you have highlighted. So to have two players in those positions, how encouraging is that to get that done early?
Well, it's really good for us, because I think it's important to have good competition within the squad. And I mean, we've been aware of where we want to strengthen, and we'll continue to. It won't be just we've made two signings, we're happy with that. We'll see within the parameters that we're working within how we can invest further. So it's not a case of do early business and that's it. You've got to have a pretty flexible perspective on what transfer windows can look like, because things can happen that you can't really predict, I suppose. And there will continue to be talk about some of our players leaving just because of how promising they are and how well they've done for us, which I think, I don't worry about stuff like that, because I think wherever people are talking about your players in a positive fashion, it means that we're doing something right, and that is we are producing good young players at the club, and we're going to try and keep hold of them as long as we can, because we want to be successful ourselves, and our best chance of keeping our best players is by being successful.
The retain release list.
Yep.
There wasn't a huge amount of kind of churn, as it were.
No. For once.
Thomas Callis and Andy King, two of the players we talked about having discussions with. Was there any progress with them? And obviously, with Thomas, you've got two players who are vying for that position as well, who brought in.
Well, look, Andy King's a part of the coaching staff as well, and he'll be staying. Thomas, with those types of situations, he will do what I think most players would do when you're in the situation that he's in terms of what we've offered him, and that he'll be seeing what else is out there too, which is fine. But again, I have a very open mind on these things. So I think it's important just to refer, and the players that have left as well. People like Jay. I think Jay's contribution to the club's been really quite remarkable, really. But having said that, again, he's in the sort of situation that Thomas finds himself in, and so it's inevitable that players will exercise their ability to look elsewhere. And we just wish people like Jay every success in the future. He's been, in my time here, he's been a good performer, but he's been very reliable too. So, when players' time come to an end at a club, sometimes they get released, and there's it's almost like a relief that you can move players on. Sometimes it's a situation where you have mixed feelings about it because there's been an enjoyment side and a respect for how you've worked with players. So it's just what it is. I just have a very straightforward perspective on this, and that is that the biggest thing for us is that we continue to develop the team, because the team's the most important thing. And individuals play their role, but there's no one individual more important than the team.
3 weeks until the players return for pre-season training. Are they completely switched off now? Do they have their own programs to work to? Give us an insight into...
Well, if they're completely switched off, they're going to have a difficult time. So our staff here are very proactive with the players, and the conditioning side of it is, of course, exceptionally important. And before the end of the season, the staff are given the players presentations on what to expect and what their own individual programs look like. So it's important to get some physical rest. It's very important to get mental space too, of course. But pre-seasons aren't about getting fit anymore. They're not like it was in my day with, sweating the beer out of you. Those days are long gone, and it's more about fine-tuning. And so the players will come back in a very good condition, and if they don't, it's to their own detriment, basically, because that's where the competition becomes even more important. That the players understand that they are teammates, but they are fighting for places themselves.
And just looking ahead towards next season from a supporter point of view, 14,000 season tickets sold.
Yeah, fantastic.
Which is higher than last season. How encouraged are you by that level of support?
Well, our fan bases have been very patient and very tolerant, I think, for the most part. But it's also important that they believe that we do have a chance of succeeding. And my job, along with everybody else here, is to try and create a team which is capable of succeeding. And I think when you look at the playoff stories and how those teams, I mean, Luton have done marvellously well to get promoted, and good luck to them. And Coventry, after such a difficult start of not being able to play at their own stadium because of the state of the pitch, played catch up for a while, snuck in there, and so the playoff situation is always one where you've got to be competitive to be able to fight for those places. But we believe that we're in a much better position now than we were 12 months ago. and so it's really important that we strive to push on, and hopefully the additions that come into the squad help the players who have done exceptionally well here already to find that extra bit that, whatever the percentage is that gives you that added chance of being successful. It doesn't matter. We've got to do what we can and not worry too much about anybody else. I'm not really bothered about other teams, to be honest with you. We've proved that we can play against, the top sides. We've also got to make sure that we put to bed some of those games that we've sometimes come unstuck with through a bit of carelessness. So, all those things together it's not a huge jump in terms of points over the course of the season to really make that difference, but you've still got to go out and do it, I'm afraid.